everybody, Brian from Innisfil Creek Honey. 2nd of July in the bee yard. We've done our spring treatments and we've done our nukes and that for the year. And now we're in the bee yard, 2nd of July, and it's a good time to start monitoring for your Varroa Mite levels to see what they're at, you know. You don't know how healthy your bees are till you know how many Varroa Mite are in your hive. So just wanted to show you how we do it. So what we have here is our double jar Varroa Mite counter. And what it is 2 jars with a lid that's double use in between. And there's a screen inside there. In the one jar, we filled it up about half full with a little bit of water with Dawn dish soap in it. The other jar is the collection jar for our honeybees. In the hive, what we've done first is we went down into the brood chamber and we isolated the queen. So I found the queen's on this frame here. When you're checking for Varroa Mite, you don't want the queen on the frame, you want to just have nurse bees if possible. So we've isolated the queen over here, and then I've pulled out frames of brood, open brood, closed brood, just a mix of different stuff. And these are the frames we're going to want to collect our sample from. The best thing to do is to try to check only the nurse bees. The nurse bees are the ones that hang out in the brood chamber all the time. The chances are the nurse bees are the ones with the most Varroa Mite levels on them. The nurse bees don't know where they live, so what we're going to do is shake them off into this box. Let them sit for a little bit. The forages will leave the box, go back to the hive, and then we'll take a sample out of the nurse bees. So we're just going to simply grab the frames, shake them into the box, place them back into the hive. And we'll do this with a few frames, trying to get a nice sample of nurse bees out of the beehive. There, that should be more than enough. Now all the foraging bees are starting to climb out of it, starting to fly around. We'll shake them down like that, get our sample cup, and we want about a half a cup of bees. So about a half a cup of bees in there. We'll screw our lid on. Now that locks them inside. The bees are stuck in here, our sample of bees in here. We will then turn that upside down on top of our shaker and then turn it over top and kill all the bees. Seems sad to kill a bunch of honeybees, but this sample of honeybees of about 300 bees is going to tell us if the rest of our hive is healthy. And if our rest of our hive is not healthy, with the knowledge gained from these, it'll help us decide if we're going to treat them. So what you want to do is you want to swirl this around gently for about a minute. And then after about a minute, we're going to let it set for about a minute, then pick it up and swirl it again. What we're trying to do is getting the Varroa Mite dislodged off the bodies of the honeybees. So I'm going to continue to do this, and I'll be back with you in a second. So we let this sit for about a minute, and then I've been twirling it around for about another minute here. Then after you get it spinning around, you want to flip it over. And as you flip over, just keep on swirling it around gently like that. You're trying to create a vortex in the middle, trying to shake it around so that any Varroa Mite or small particles on the bees fall through the screens and end up in the bottom section here. Then we'll let that settle down a bit, hold it up to the light, and count if there's any Varroa Mites. So I see 1, 2, 3, couple stingers in there, other little things falling off. That's why you don't want to shake it too hard, because if you shake it too hard, You'll get parts of bees down at the bottom. It'll be hard to tell what's in there. So looking at the bottom of this, we have about 3 mites in here. And that's 3 mites per 300 bees approximately that are stuck up top. And that is at the level where they say that with three mites per 300 bees, that's probably at a level where you don't need to treat your bees. I'm of the mind that if they have 3 mites, it's at that threshold. It doesn't cost much to treat your bees. It costs a lot to replace them. So I'm of the mind that if they have 3 mites or even 2 mites per 300 bees, I go ahead and treat them anyways. So we have honey supers on this yard. So the only thing we can treat with in Canada with honey supers on is Formic Pro. So we have Formic Pro here. It is summer. It's a little hot today, about 30 degrees. I've noticed that when we treat with Formic Pro, if we do the 2-pad treatment, works fantastic, kills all the mites, but it is a little hard on the bees and it will shut the queen down from laying for about a week. We've noticed that quite a bit, that the queen will just stop laying for about a week, and then she'll start up again with no mites. It's a honey flow on, so we really don't want to shut the queen down right now. We want her to keep laying. We just want to knock the mites down a little bit. So we're going to use the 1-pad treatment. And in the 1-pad treatment, what you do is you go down to your first brood chamber, split your second brood chamber off, and then you put 1 pad on. That 1 pad stays on for about 14 days. At the end of the 14 days, you put the second pad on for another 14 days. And what that does is it treats them with formic acid, but it doesn't treat them at the level at which it'll shut the queen down. It doesn't treat them at the level where it will get the bees underneath the caps. It'll only treat the mites that are outside of the caps on the foraging bees and the nurse bees. So you're supposed to wear gloves when you're working with Formic Pro. I'm an old farmer. I don't carry gloves around with me. I just use the packages here. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Don't do it this way. Use a pair of gloves. So we're going to treat it with 1 pad of formic acid in the middle of the brood chamber, right on the first box. We're going to grab our second brood chamber, throw it on top of that. Make sure all the frames are squished over to the center. Then we're going to put our queen excluder on. And we'll put our honey super back on top. My gosh, that's heavy already. Put our honey super back on top here. And throw our lids on. Now what we've done is we've added a small dose of formic acid right in the brood chamber. That formic acid is going to off-gas inside the hive. It's going to kill any of the mites that are on the bees for the next 5 to 7 days. And then we'll come back and treat them again in about a week and a half with a second pad. And that'll again treat the bees, the mites that are on the bees that are not in the cap cells. And we're not looking at 100% efficacy on this treatment. It's a midsummer treatment. All we're looking at doing is dropping the mite level down a little bit so that the bees can live throughout the honey production season with a treatment on there with lower enough mites that they can hopefully be healthy getting into fall. So we're going to go through all our yards today. We'll take a sample from every yard. If the mite levels are more than 2 or 3 per hive, you throw 1 pad of Formic Pro on the hive. And then we'll come back the end of next week and put the second pad on to get the full treatment of the Formic Pro. Anyways, Brian from Minnesota Creek Honey, get the hell outside. It's Canada, 2nd of July. We only get 2 months of summer. Enjoy your bees, enjoy nature, and enjoy this beautiful country we live in. Have a good one.